Hey folks, you've come across from the Fault Finder app. I'm Craig Luthwaite, I developed the app. I'm a PGA professional, been so for 30 years, nearly. Anyway, so this is the shot where you can hit fat or thin. So I'm going to cover them both in the same video because it's on the same page on the app. So you've clicked on the fat thin shot. Now the first fault is that you could be coming into the ball too shallow. So you end up reaching the ground before you've got to the ball. It's not ideal. You're going to hit the big ball before the small ball, as people would say. So that's the fat shot. You've hit the ground before you've hit the ball. And the thin one is you've got to that same point, which is before the ball, but now you're catching the ball on the way up. So that's the thin one. There are other faults, but this is number one fault. And I'll give you a fix for it shortly. So you've come in too shallow. So think about this. Maybe you got a little bit disconnected. Maybe you're quite a good golfer and you're staying behind the ball nicely like this. And then your lower body's turned through a little bit too much more than the upper body. And then you end up lagging behind. And then you're going to give it a little bit of an early hit over there. And that's going to give you that sort of shallow approach. And you could either hit it fat or thin. You could. And the other one is, of course, if you're a little bit ahead of it like that, and then you flick the hands, you can do the very, very same thing. Some golfers try and drive their hips and then this hangs back. And I've been there, so just talking from experience way back when. And then you give it the good old handsy early hit with the hands. Very, very shallow approach. So the fix to that is get connected. How do you do that? Think about skimming a pebble over water. You wouldn't, that pebble's not going anywhere. You've got to get it to go there. So everything's connected. But it's not that. Okay, medicine ball, just throw it there. A lot of golfers on the tour use that as a warm-up. Get the body activated for what's to come. It's not a static hitting action, it's a dynamic collecting of the ball action. And throwing kind of gives you that feeling, in my opinion. So, tension could also cause you to hang back like that. If trying to keep that so tense. So just think of that shallow approach, fix it with the relaxed throwing action I've described. Fault 2 is a harder one, it's called early extension. Your body might just not be able to maintain these rotational forces that are required. You must check that on Titleist Performance Institute, TPI. They've got some little tests you can do there to see if your body's capable of even handling those things, and maybe that's why you've got this fault. It's called early extension. Or it could just be a bad habit. So here it is. There's your posture. You're coming down to hit the ball, and your backside's coming in and your spine's coming up. Then you give it a good old handsy flick to try and save the shot. And this, that can cause a very steep angle, but it can also cause the shallow that I'm describing, fat and thin. But a steep one causes a fat shot as well. So early extension can cause both. It can cause many other things. Try to avoid it. But your body's your body. Maybe it can't cope. You'll have to test that yourself or find an expert in the field of that. If I was with you now, I could test it, but that's a bit for another day. Okay, so here's the fault. Early extension. If you can fix it, if your body can handle, what you're thinking of is maintaining your spine angle, turn. See, there's no change, you see. Stick the bottom out the whole time. So if I do it from this angle, I'm turn, throw the medicine ball, skim the pebble, maintaining that posture, spine angle, bottom out. You could put something against your backside there and do some swings, touching it the whole time, as long as you're turning. That could maybe help you feel. Just see if your body can do it there. Okay, that's a hard one to fix. You might need to go and see an expert about that one. But that's the gist of it. Then, let me check number 3 now. On the backswing, for a fat shot most likely, you could just be picking up the club and not turning properly. That's going to make you get too steep on the angle down, and you could really chunk the ground quite badly, especially if you give it a hard hit in that fashion. Right, so what we're saying is, on the backswing, you need a bit more of a one-piece takeaway, but only as far as your right knee. So I'm going one piece, I've got the club against my stomach here, you see that there? This is a good drill, and I'm holding it like that, keeping my posture. I'm going to turn all together, the club's touching my stomach, I'm by my knee, now I'm going to set the club. And then I'm going to keep turning my back to the target, over my right shoulder. And you can see the club hasn't crossed the line in any way. That's the backswing. It's a great drill. Put this club on the belly button there, stand, keep the posture to your right knee, set the club as you keep turning over your right shoulder. Yeah, I nearly did that. Try and keep the relaxed hand position. So there we are. It's a great drill if you're doing that. Here's another one. You fold your hands over and get the feeling of turning your back to the target. Imagine that there. Alright. So picking it up could cause you to do that sort of thing. And you know from what I've said, if you're ahead of the ball, it's over. Eh? You're going to try and compensate, or you're just going to hit it from there. And so steep. Fat shot. Could even lead to a top shot, but we've covered that in another part of the app. Right, so that's fat and thin. I've given you the faults and the possible fixes. There could be other things, of course. I mean, as simple as check your alignment, your alignment, ball position, those kind of things are critical, and distance from the ball. But I mean, that you should have in place. If not, you should maybe just have a little lesson with one of your nearby pros, PJ pros, and just get those things checked, Grip, critical, yeah. Check those things. But here are the three things if it's beyond those fundamentals. Alright, so good luck. We'll see you next time. Cheers.